morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, well look, my mother-in-law, rather nice person, she bought me this year a page-a-day Pokemon calendar. And today's day is Phanpy Day. And that got me thinking about a video I've wanted to make for a while, about how Donphan is one of the best sneaky good Pokemon we've ever seen. Donphan has never had any of the chase cards. There's never been a Donphan Level X. There's never been a Donphan EX, GX. We might get a Donphan V one day. I'll be extremely surprised if we do. And yet somehow, Donphan just ends up being really good. Quite a lot, weirdly often. So I figured it's time to have a look at how good it can be, and I thought it might be kind of nice to count down the top 5 Donphan we've ever seen. And I'll be honest with you, right, I'm clutching a little bit, just a little bit, when we have a look at number 5. After that, I'm really not. We've had some good Donphans. So, with all of that borne in mind, let's start off with the 5th best Donphan we've ever had, the current one which is actually still legal for a short period of time yet, the one from Lost Thunder. Now the reason I like the one from Lost Thunder is for the ability Sturdy. If this Pokemon has full HP and would be knocked out by damage from an attack, this Pokemon is not knocked out and its remaining HP becomes 10 instead. Oh. Well, that sounds pretty gosh darn good. Now, yes, I'm fully aware that if you're poisoned, etc., you can be KO'd, and I know that it only works if it's got full HP, but even so, that's kind of good. We've got Last Chance Potion, which completely heals you up. You go 120 HP down, you play Last Chance Potion, you're good to go. That's kind of fun. And nowadays, with Karate Belt and the upcoming Twin Energy, this could be quite good. Now, to be fair, Twin Energy is coming out shortly before this rotates, but there will be a period of time. And when you can sit there and survive any hit, heal up completely, and just be hitting 70 damage one turn, and then 140 after that, no, you don't do 70, 140, 210, 280, etc. It's 70, 140, 140, 140, 140, 140, 140, 140, but that's okay. I think this one could be good. Unproven as it stands, but got enough tricks to make me excited. Plus, in the current format, we got things like Diancie Prism Star and Martial Arts Dojo to do extra damage, and I just think this could be good. In at number 4, the Donphan from Aquapolis. Now, this might take a little bit of explaining. You see, the Donphan from Aquapolis was never actually good, but it should have been. Now, little bit of context here, and some of the information here does come from Jason Klaczynski's wonderful blog. So, essentially, what happened was that back in the day, we had 3 e-reader sets, one of which was Aquapolis. And what was supposed to happen was that the game was going to move to an e-reader on, an expedition on format. But then the game moved from Wizards of the Coast to the Pokemon Company, and that format never happened. If it did, this Donphan was going to be pretty gosh darn good with the Machamp from Expedition. You see, Donphan for 1 fighting energy did 30 damage, plus 10 to each of your own benched Pokemon, and then Machamp for 2 fighting, 2 colorless did 50 damage. And you counted the number of Pokemon in play with damage counters on them, your Pokemon, and you flipped a coin. If heads, you did 50 plus 10 for each of those Pokemon. So you attack with Donphan, and you've hopefully got at least 5 bench Pokemon with damage on, maybe 6 if you include Donphan. And then if you can flip a head, you do 100 damage or 110 if your Donphan is damaged. That's a lot. When you bear in mind Machamp is a big stage 2 of 120, that was good. Never happened. This deck was unfortunately not quite as fast as the decks from the Neo sets that came before it, and it was not quite as good as the decks from EX Ruby and Sapphire and the EX sets generally afterwards, but there was a short period of time where we thought this was going to be a format, and if it had been a format, this Donphan would have been pretty gosh darn good. Although even in that format, I like Earthquake for 1 energy. In at number 3, the very first Donphan we ever had from Neo Genesis. And this is another one, and you see this a lot with Donphan, good single energy attacks. In fact, the one we put at number 5 is the only one we're ever really going to be paying more than 1 energy for. You see, it had an attack for 1 fighting energy that does flail, 10 damage for each damage counter on Donphan. It's fine, but what you really want to do is try and make sure that Donphan has exactly 6 damage counters on. How do we pull that off? Well, at the time, ladies and gentlemen, we had Focus Band. And you see, Focus Band was very, 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 very good. Focus Band was a tool that you attached to one of your Pokemon, and if it would be knocked out by your opponent's attack, you flip a coin. If heads, you're not knocked out and your HP becomes 10 instead, and then you discard Focus Band. Better than the ability we saw on the Lost Thunder Donphan, because you don't have to have full HP for this to work. Very nice. So now your opponent tries to attack you. You go down to 10 HP remaining, and you're hitting 60 damage for a single energy. Again, look at the HP of Donphan. Donphan is a fairly beefy stage 1 with 70 HP. At the time, 70 HP was good. 60 damage for 1 energy was out and out phenomenal. And it really was this combo, and you would just play this in a deck with other small, basic, hard-hitting Pokemon and just rock from there. It wasn't one of the defining decks of the Neo Genesis era, but it was a very, very good deck that I could totally get on board with. In at number 2, the Donphan from Plasma Storm. Now again, we do like the first attack here, though we will use the other attacks, which is nice. 1 fighting energy, 40 damage, and you switch it with one of your benched Pokemon. Okay, it's alright. It's not amazing, it's fine. Here's the thing though. At the time we had strong energy, so it wasn't really 40 damage, it was 60 with strong energy. Except we also had Fighting Stadium, so against an EX there's an extra 20 damage, and EXs were everywhere at the time. And we had Muscle Band and Silver Bangle, and Muscle Band did an extra 20 damage to everything. Silver Bangle did an extra 30 damage to EX Pokemon. Oh, and this added up very, very quickly. Then, of course, you're playing a hit-and-run deck, so you switch to the bench. What do you put active? Well, we actually had Robo-Sub at the time. And Robo-Sub was an item card, but you played it down as a Pokemon, and it didn't give up a prize when it was KO'd. Oh, yeah, that's actually, that's pretty gosh darn good. Then you had stuff like Wobbuffet you could stick in the active. Wobbuffet turned off abilities. Or we had Trevenant. I saw a bit of play with this, and Trevenant turned off item cards, and you could have a really, really disruptive, fun deck. I top cut a regionals with this deck. I know I'm not the only one that did. On the day I did cut a regionals with this deck, I actually played 3 mirror matches. I went 1-1-1. Which seemed appropriate. Lost a heartbreaking top 8, but you can't have everything. This was a very, very good deck indeed. This was really right around the fringes of the top decks. It was the kind of deck you could go and top cut and maybe even win a regional with. And the second attack here was actually alright. It wasn't one you used often, but you could, and it was alright. For 2 fighting, 2 colourless energy, you did 80 damage. But if there was a stadium card in play, you discarded it to do 140. The thing to remember is it wasn't 140 because strong energy and fighting stadium and muscle band or silver bangle, all of that good stuff. And you did huge damage. And we had double colourless energy at the time. So essentially what you would do is attach an energy, preferably a strong, then a second strong, and be hitting good damage with a first attack, and then if you needed to, you would then use Wreck to take a big key KO. It worked. But in at number 1, and none of you will be surprised to notice if you follow this channel, it's Donphan Prime. Now, this is the closest Donphan ever had to a chase card, and it's cheating a little bit, because although they were the shiny chase cards at the time, there were no extra mechanics, they were just decent cards. But there's nothing special about them other than the look of them. But the thing is, this was phenomenal. Now, it wasn't one that people took terribly seriously for a long time, but it was one that was always there or thereabouts. The Pokebody reduced damage done to it by 20. Add in the 120 on a stage 1, you had a beefy Pokemon. 1 energy 60 damage plus 10 to each of your bench. 3 fighting energy 90, but again, that second attack was used. It would be used, but it would be used rarely. And again, you're just sitting there beefing up the amount of damage that you're doing here. Expert Belt was a very, very good card with this at the time. Expert Belt, well, you did an extra 20 damage and you got an extra 20 HP, but you gave up an extra prize when you got KO'd. And at the time, we had Broken Time Space, which was my personal choice, and Rare Candy, which at the time did work the time you played a Pokemon, and let you evolve into a stage 1 or a stage 2, so you could get a turn 1 Donphan hitting 80 damage pretty consistently. It was very, very good. A lot of people, instead of playing it as a deck in and of itself, chose to play it with Machamp, and we had 2 good Machamp at the time. We had the Machamp from Stormfront that for a single energy did 40 damage, not good, but it got an instant KO on any basic Pokemon, good. And then we had Machamp Prime that had a Pokemon power that if it's on your bench, you could move all fighting energy from your active to it, move it into the active, and then 3 energy 60 discard a special energy, or 4 energy 100 damage, plus 10 for each of your bench Pokemon with any damage on. And you would obviously get the damage on there using Donphan Prime, which made it very reminiscent of, well, the old one from Aquapolis. I tell you what, I tried all versions of this Donphan deck. It's my favourite card ever, I've made no secret of that. And I remain utterly convinced to this day that the best version of it was the version that had just Speed Donphan. I top cut UK Nationals with it. If I remember, I'll pop a link to that article. I know, article, right? In the description. But I've also made a video about it, so I will link that video in the description as well. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know if you agree with my analysis that Donphan is a sneaky good Pokemon, or whether you think I'm just overreacting because I love him so much. And I would like to know your favourite Donphan, so go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darn good nonetheless. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.